This is a Pubcast Shot. I'm John Loomer. Let's revisit how we approach the learning phase. Let's go. So I had a bit of a breakthrough moment recently, and it was related to what the learning phase is and possibly isn't. And it's got me rethinking all of this. So let me explain. First, just a quick summary of how Meta defines the learning phase in the first place. So when you publish a new ad set, it will typically begin with the learning label in the delivery column. That means that the algorithm is trying to sort things out, which ads to show, to which people, and all the many layers of complex details that go into all of that. While learning, Meta says your results will be less stable, so you could see wild swings of performance from day to day. And this is what generally freaks advertisers out. We don't like instability and a lack of predictability. To exit the learning phase, advertisers generally go with the benchmark of 50 optimized events or conversions in a 7-day period. Originally, Meta set this as a hard rule. You would not exit the learning phase until those 50 conversions happened. And if you didn't get them in 7 days, you'd be stuck in learning limited. Of course, exiting learning and going into active didn't guarantee anything either. If you make significant edits, you can send an ad back into the learning phase. Now, what those significant edits are has evolved over the years, but it's generally been things like publishing new ads, making changes to ads, updating the targeting, or significantly increasing the budget. None of these things are black and white now. You can increase the budget more than you could in the past without re-entering learning. In fact, if an ad set is classified as high performing, and Meta will notify you of this, you can increase the budget quite a bit without triggering the learning phase. And advertisers have the philosophical conversation all the time about whether any of this matters. Yes, you want to exit the learning phase to get optimal results. But the inability to exit the learning phase isn't a death sentence for your ad set either. And there may be times when it's simply not reasonable to get 50 or 25 or whatever number of conversions in a week to satisfy the algorithm. So we're already at the point right now where the learning phase is more of a guide than a hard and fast rule. But something else happened recently that has me rethinking things even more. So here's what happened. I had an active ad set that was doing really well. But there was a new ad that I really wanted to create. And I knew that if I published that new ad to the existing ad set, that it would or should restart the learning phase. At the same time, I don't fear restarting the learning phase, so I decided to publish the ad. Based on Meta's documentation about significant edits that trigger the learning phase, this was a significant edit. Meta listed publishing a new ad as an example. But to my surprise, publishing that ad did not restart learning. And at first, this was a pleasant surprise. But this inspired me to start thinking about what the learning phase actually is and what Meta's labels even mean. Because there are two realities about what happens when I publish that new ad. First, I want Meta to keep learning at this point. Otherwise, wouldn't Meta refuse to show that new ad? How else could the algorithm get the data to know who to show that new ad to? And that underscores another important point that we know about Meta ad delivery. The algorithm is always learning. It might just not be called the learning phase. So whether it be due to competition, changes in the audience pool, feedback and reactions to your ad, performance fluctuations related to your website or your page, the algorithm is always learning and always adjusting. And we want that. And because of that, does that learning label really mean anything? Does it just reflect that Meta's detected more instability in performance than normal? Or is it possible that the label doesn't reflect anything particularly significant? It's just a label after all. And advertisers have historically run in fear from it. I'd argue that part of the confusion is that there's a learning delivery label in the first place. This suggests that it's not active, but it is. And when it switches to active, It suggests it's no longer learning, but the algorithm is always learning. So if Meta's listening, I'd recommend the delivery column always display active if the ads are actively delivering. If there's a problem related to instability or results, create a separate column for that. So here's the bottom of the glass. Advertisers have historically run in fear from the learning phase. See it as just a label. You can get good results while learning, and the algorithm is always learning anyway. Its role has mostly been to let you know if things aren't running optimally right now, but let the results tell you that more than anything. And I wouldn't generally fear making a change that would restart learning anyway. Don't constantly tinker, but you also shouldn't fear making a change that you think is important. Before we wrap up here, just one quick word about one of the many ways that I can help you. So whether you're running an agency or running ads for others or running ads for yourself, maybe you need a little bit of extra help. I set aside 45-minute blocks where I run one-on-one sessions where we can walk through your individual advertising challenges to come up with a solution, a strategy, a way forward to break through whatever obstacles you may be facing. Now, these sessions aren't for everybody. I highly recommend that you're already spending at least a few $1,000s per month in ads. So then when we have this 45-minute session, you'll have at least 1, 2, 3 takeaways that could potentially make a difference. This isn't about a magic wand that will fix everything for you. It's about helping you better understand how advertising works and what obstacles you may be creating for yourself, and maybe having some specific things to try to see if it fixes your problem. So if you're interested in setting up a one-on-one with me, go to johnloomer.com/coach. Thanks again for joining me today. Until next time, do awesome things. I'm out.